questions I hear a lot from supervisors, managers, and leaders is, how do I get my employees to do what I want and need them to do, in the notion of how do I motivate them, right? Motivation is one of those things that we've probably struggled with people forever and probably continue to be challenged with and struggled with. So I wanted to just share a few thoughts today on the idea of motivation and motivating employees. The first place I wanted to kind of start is challenging us to look at what are our beliefs around motivation and how often have we thought about that? What do we think about motivation? For example, do we believe that I can actually motivate people or not? So, for example, where I come down on this issue is I believe that we can create an atmosphere and environment and support and play a role in others being motivated. In other words, I think motivation for individuals is more intrinsic, that it's less about me when I think of me being able to motivate somebody, to me it sounds like I can kind of force them and make them, right? So I think we have to just kind of challenge ourselves and think, what do I believe and what do I think, feel, and believe about motivation? A quote from Rupert Murdoch that I like, he says, in motivating people, you've got to engage their minds and their hearts. I think one of the things we need to understand about motivation is that it's less about the events that we do. You know, can I give them a gift card? Can I say thank you enough? Can I pay them enough? And it's more about our day-to-day, moment-by-moment interactions. Am I building relationships with people? Am I building emotional and relational capital, trust? Do people believe that I care about them and value them? All of that, when I think about motivation, depends on a fundamental principle, and that is that motivation is deeply personal and individual. What motivates me doesn't necessarily motivate someone else, and what motivates them doesn't motivate me or anyone else, right? And so are we taking the time to get to understand the people we're working with and working around? Do we understand the people that report to us? Do we know them well enough to gain a deeper understanding of what drives them? What motivates them? Why do they get up in the morning? Who are they? And how do we begin to engage with that to support that? Whether it's, they like words of affirmation, some people do. Some people like when we just help them and join them. Some people like when we give them time. There's a number of ways that people just kind of naturally gain motivation, feel encouraged. One of the things that I often hear too is that we pay them well and it's a clean and a warm or cool place, for the working conditions, that kind of thing. And I'm like, that's great, and we need to do that. I would compare a lot of that to even, supervision and just basic relationships and working conditions and salaries, to kind of brushing our teeth and combing our hair and using deodorant, right? It's the stuff we do every day, but no one really notices it in the sense of, wow, congratulations, you brushed your teeth today, right? We don't generally say that. But when people don't do those things, we notice. So the basics of motivation is good supervision, good communication, good relationships, good working conditions, fair and reasonable and good salaries and compensation. All of that is very good, and it builds the foundation of which motivation sits on. Unfortunately, that in and of itself doesn't generally drive people to strive for greatness. What it does do, if we don't do those things well, it's dissatisfying and demotivating. If we build that healthy foundation, though, of strong supervision, communication, listening, valuing people, caring about people, good working conditions, salary, compensation, then we can do things like recognition, acknowledgement, appreciation, the type of work we get them, the challenging work we get them, the responsibilities, how much responsibility, autonomy, independence, do they have room for advancement, do they have opportunities to learn? All of that stuff becomes highly motivational on top of the foundation we just talked about. So, although motivation is far more complex than a 4 or 5 minute little conversation that we're having today, I think a great place to start is one, motivation is deeply personal and individual. Get to know your folks. Find out what drives them. Motivation is something we can play a part in and support and encourage, but I'm not sure that it's something that we can actually force people to do, right? That motivation is an intrinsic thing from within. The other thing is we need to provide a foundation for motivation to exist, and that is strong supervision, communication, listening, good relationships, working conditions are good, good and fair salaries. And then when we start putting on top of that all of those other things of recognition, appreciation, praise, the types of work we give them, is it challenging? Does it encourage them to strive for greatness? Responsibility, autonomy, independence, opportunity for advancement and growth and learning, all of those things. When we do that, I think we start to create a culture of motivation, a culture that's motivational, that people more often than not will thrive in and strive for greatness and be successful in. Thanks.